I was 6 when I decided the world didn't get to swallow people just because it was bigger than them. I didn't know the word hero. I didn't know what a corporate mole was, and I definitely didn't know the name of the man who would try to trade a child for a thumb drive. I just knew what fear looked like on another kid's face and that I couldn't keep walking. You know what I mean? It was late in Port Maxwell, rain in the gutters, cardboard and old onions in the air. I had a paper bag for Grandma Ruth with a tin of powdered milk on top. I heard a small voice choke out, a please, and a man hiss back, "Be quiet," and when I turned, I saw her, a blonde girl in a school jumper, no older than 8, with a pistol tucked against her ribs, and 2 other guys circling like they owned the night. I don't know why my mouth moved first, but it did. "Let her go, or I'm calling the cops." My voice too high, my hands shaking around that grocery bag, and the tall one spit near my shoes and told me to run along. I looked at the tin. I heard Grandma's voice in my head. "Use what you've got, baby," so I did. I threw it as hard as my little arms could manage. The lid popped. Mid-air, powder blew up like a white cloud. They started coughing, blinking, swearing, and I ran in, grabbed the girl's wrist and pulled. I yelled, like I had any plan beyond that light. At the end of the alley, I screamed for help. So loud, windows cracked open, a porch light snapped, footsteps hit concrete. And when the cruisers swung in with red and blue and tires squealing, those men dropped everything. They were pretending to be a cop, crouched to our height, and asked our names. I said Zoe, she said Olivia, and radios lit up because Olivia Hale happened to be the daughter of Ethan Hale, the Ethan Hale, the one whose name shines on buildings. In the precinct, the lights were too bright and made kindness look clinical. Olivia's hand was a knot in mine. My knuckles went pale where I held on. The door flew open, and Ethan Hale walked in with his tie, crooked eyes scanning like a searchlight. He scooped Olivia, and the sound he made was not money or power. It was a dad who'd almost lost his whole world. He set her down, and he crouched, so I didn't have to stand taller than I was. "You must be Zoe," he said. And when he tried to thank me, I wanted to say, "Anybody would have done it, except you, and I both know that's not always true." Detective Mason, Cole Gray. At the temples and soft around the voice took notes, while Olivia trembled through a detail. They wanted a drive, a little silver stick. They said Dad would know, and I watched something pass between Mason and Ethan, a kind of quiet that says everything without saying a word. Grandma Ruth barreled in like a thunderhead in a thrift coat and Sunday hat and folded me up. Ethan offered us a ride home and posted security outside like a line in the sand. "Not charity," he told Grandma, "gratitude and responsibility." And for a second, I believed the worst part was over. That was cute, because the next days made it clear the opposite was true. A black sedan started lingering on our block. 2 men at a restaurant watched the room more than their bowls of soup. One night in the penthouse, moon washed quiet. The doorknob to our room turned soft. Testing security stopped it. My heart didn't. Detective Cole said there had to be insider knowledge, the kind you don't find on the sidewalk. A name floated up first. Roy Mercer, an angry ex-employee. But the money trail didn't stop at Roy. It kept slipping through shell accounts towards someone with real shoes, Victor Lang on the board, smile like polished glass, and Daniel Pierce, Ethan's COO, the man who shakes your hand with one and picks your pocket with the other. You know what I mean? Ethan moved us to a farmhouse out of town, and for one afternoon, we let ourselves be just kids. Olivia made a crooked flower crown and dropped it on my head and said, "You're my knight," and I said, "Knights don't run," which sounds brave. Until midnight. Footsteps in the orchard, flashlights, slicing leaves. Then nothing. The next night. It wasn't trees, it was the kitchen pantry. The door shouldered open, two masked men, Grandma shoved aside, one reaching for Olivia. My body went hot and hard. I grabbed a 5-pound bag of flour and sent it flying white out across black masks, coughing and swearing again. And then Ethan and Mason were there, and the men were eating linoleum. Mason's jaw said it for him. This isn't testing. This is escalation, and it stuck in my throat like a stone. Back in the city, the boring part of drama went to work, the part that saves lives without fanfare. Mason traced wires from Caribbean post office boxes and suitcase lawyers back to Victor's holdings. He found emails stamped with midnight and guilt from Daniel's secure terminal. He told Ethan what no one wants to hear, the shortest road to breaking. You runs through your kid. The next place was a federal safe site, concrete and cameras. It felt like a fortress until the power hiccuped and died, and the hallways glowed red like a heartbeat. In a throat boots thudded, doors crashed. We hid in a closet that smelled like metal filings. While men tore up the room, they didn't find us, they found Grandma. The phone rang later with a voice dressed up in cheap distortion. Walker, 48 hours, bring the drive, come alone and underneath, Grandma hoarse but unbroken. Don't you dare give them anything, the line cut, and Ethan looked like steel cooling. We flipped the board, he said. We put it all in the light. The drive they wanted, the one Olivia said they spoke about, wasn't just a key, it was a matchbook. Bribes, kickbacks, shell companies stacked like nesting dolls, contracts that treated the public like a piggy bank. Mason warned that exposure is a bomb, and bombs don't ask permission, Ethan said. Extortion is a no. Sometimes the only way to stop a blackmailer is to destroy the blackmail. So while the SUV convoy rolled toward the docks, cranes hunched over containers like tired giants. The files were already uploading to federal servers and newsrooms. Ethan brought us because after the breach he kept saying, I protect you best when I can see you. Maybe it was pride, maybe it was a father. Learning distance is a luxury bad men don't respect. I'm not here to judge his choices. I'm here to tell you what happened next. We cut engines a block out. Agents fanned across the yard. Radios murmured, a loudspeaker crackled with Victor's voice, expensive and amused. Ethan Hale, you brought friends. Did you bring what belongs to me? Ethan stepped into the light, like a man tired of being generous. You'll never see it, he said, and Mason lifted a tablet that said, Live Upload. Victor laughed, brittle, a champagne flute about to crack. Daylight only makes the blood show, he said. A floodlight snapped on, and there was Grandma tied to a chair, chin tipped like a queen. Nobody dares touch the yard. Erupted muzzle flashes, stitched. The dark bullets pinged off steel. Agents yelled. I looked at that chair and forgot I was 6. We go now, I told Olivia. Nights don't run. And yeah, that happened. We slipped between the shipping containers, like minnows small enough to be beneath the chaos. Ethan shouted something that turned into a prayer. We hit the chair, my fingers fought a knot that burned my skin. Olivia braced her body to block line of fire like she could grow 3 feet of courage. In a breath, a mask turned, a gun rose, a bang, split the air. The man dropped, the smoke curled from Ethan's pistol behind him. Shoulders squared, eyes saying, the son would have to file a request to move him. He cut the rope and pulled Grandma up and folded us in like someone rescuing his own heart. Sunrise found the warehouse swarmed, federal jackets flapping. Victor's men cuffed the files, public and ugly. The feeds howling with scandal and indictments and shock. And Victor himself gone because men like that write endings and leave before they have to read them. Mason said, we'd find him maybe on a cliff where the ocean pretends it's a baptism, maybe behind a different logo. I believed him. But I also knew justice drags its feet when money runs fast. We went back to Hale Tower, and the lobby wasn't polished anymore. It was people in cardigans and scuffed heels watching the screens and making space without clapping a kind of hush that says, "We see what you carried, and we won't pretend it was light in the office." Ethan set Olivia on the couch, looked out at the city and said, "Zoe, Carter, your family, not repayment, not charity, just fact. And if you think words are cheap, then you've never been told you belong by someone who doesn't need anything from you." Grandma, wrapped in a blanket, nodded. Mason rubbed tired eyes and smiled anyway. Olivia leaned against me and dozed, and I felt the story settle somewhere below my ribs. A place you don't shake loose even if you try. If you want a bow on top, I don't have it. Daniel hired a PR firm and resigned to spend time with family. Victor slipped the net, probably raised a glass somewhere, and promised next time the law will catch up. I hope it does, I know this much. Courage isn't trumpets and speeches. Courage is a kid throwing a tin of milk, and a grandmother refusing to give up a hiding spot, and a father choosing truth over comfort, even when it scorches the paint off his life. Would I do it again? Throw the tin, run the yard? Yes, because knights don't run, they just learn where to plant their feet and when to charge. So tell me this down in the comments. Where do you draw the line between staying safe and doing the right thing? Who gets protected first when money power and a child's life pull in opposite directions? Have you seen someone judged wrong for where they're from or what they look like? Did anyone step up or did everyone look away? What sounds like justice to you here? And what sounds like a neat bedtime story? We tell ourselves to sleep better, like the video. If any part of this lit a spark, subscribe if you want more stories told plain. And add your voice, because the only thing louder than fear is a chorus that refuses to be quiet.